Hello, good afternoon and welcome to News Today on the John News channel here on Multi TV. Coming up, police arrest 2 in YEJI for negligence in a boat disaster that led to the death of 15 people there. JUSAC calls off strike and directs judicial service workers to resume work immediately. We'll bring you more on that in a bit. And as the nation remembers victims of the June 3 flood and fire disaster, Joy News follows up on the government promise to crash unauthorized filling stations in the nooks and crannies of the city. Details including business, sports, entertainment, as well as international updates all coming up in the next hour here on News Today. Stay with us. This is Kwabena Chencheni. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. To our very first story, the Tsar and embattled businessman Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME has told the Attorney General his steps towards the auction of his property at Pehe here in Accra are unlawful. In a reply to a notice sent by the Attorney General to Mr. WOYOME 2 days ago, lawyers for Mr. Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME described the AG's action as, quote, a booby trap, end quote. My colleague Fred Smith has a copy of that letter and joins me in studio now with more on this. So, Fred, tell us a lot more about this statement and what it seeks to...
Well, first of all, I'll give you the description that that letter gives to this whole action by the AG, the booby trap.
Booby trap.
It is a device or setup that is intended to kill, harm, or surprise a person unknowingly triggered by the presence or actions of the victim. And as the word implies, the trap. They sometimes have some form of bait designed to lure the victim towards it, and Merriam-Webster describes it as a concealed explosive device contrived to go off when some harmless-looking object is touched. And so you wonder why they describe this action to auction his property in light of the judgment that he got is being described as a booby trap. Well, the letter he wrote to the AG just yesterday, it says that his lawyers are actually saying that the subject matter of the correspondence is a matter pending in court in a suit in which UT Bank has filed notice of claim, pursuant to which you, referring to the AG, have also filed a notice to dispute the claim without more. It is remarkably curious that rather than ensuring that the pending matter before the court is determined, you have elected to ignore simple rudimentary procedure and, in an inordinate haste, proceeding to have the said properties valued on the blind side of UT Bank. It is quite surprising that as the principal legal advisor to the government, you elect to ignore the rule of law, the very foundation upon which the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana creates your office, and rather place premium on booby trap. While appreciating the notice to our client of your steps in the process of levying execution, we are unable, Chenchahene, to agree with your attempt to oust any notice to UT Bank, and to that extent, the total disregard for the pending matter in court, touching and concerning the subject matter under reference. Please be advised that the procedure being employed by you is unlawful, and it's signed by Ken Anku ESQ, that's a lawyer.
Okay, so this in essence has to do with one of Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME'S property that the AG is seeking to auction to defray this debt, these payments that he's supposed to make back to us as a government.
Exactly, and the AG has already started the process, and in that letter they issued 2 days ago, they were asking the Lands Commission to begin the process to value the land. That valuation will take place, is supposed to take place tomorrow, which is today is the 1st. The 2nd of June, that valuation is supposed to take place in the morning. But Mr. WOYOME yesterday wrote back to the AG telling them that, well, UT Bank is making a claim for that property. That matter is being challenged by the AG
in court.
So
essentially, that issue of that building itself being put up for sale or being auctioned is in court.
The matter is in court, according to this letter from Mr. WOYOME'S lawyers. So Mr. WOYOME wants them to exhaust this matter in court, then you can take any action. It's at that point that you'll be able to determine if the property is belongs to Mr. WOYOME or to UT Bank.
I see. So those visuals we just saw on our screens a short while ago, I believe we can roll them up there again so you could see. That's actually the building?
That's the building. So it's exactly what the AG talked about. It's the same building, yes. You can't have a clearer view. I was there.
Exactly, you were there. I wanted us to come to that.
Yes, and Mr. WOYOME is not available. I'm told he's traveled, but he has his aides and security in the house. You won't be allowed to get into the house, but from outside, what I saw looks to me like a two-story building, residential property. It also has something that looks like a detached property within that compound, and that's the best you can see from outside. The wall is a bit tall. On the gates, you can see the inscription Sidya. That's a Sidya Adinkra symbol, and Jehovah Elohim is the other inscription on there.
I see. And so far, there hasn't been any response to this letter by lawyers of Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME?
No, this went very late to the AG, and so there hasn't been. It's just about 24 hours to the auctioning or the valuation time that the Attorney General sets. That will be tomorrow. So we wait to see what will happen.
Right, Fred, many thanks for that update. And that was my colleague Fred Smith, who just returned from one of the properties of Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME, that businessman who is currently in a bit of a tussle with government over some money there. And they're saying that very property, that house, is still in dispute as to the ownership of the house is in dispute. It's between Alfred Agbeshi WOYOME himself and UT Bank. We'll bring you a lot more on this in our subsequent bulletins, particularly our news and news analysis program, The Pulse, which airs at 3 p.m. on the same channel. Away from that now, and JUSAG has called off its one-week strike following several discussions with governments over the harmonization of their salaries and allowances. Judicial service workers are expected to resume work immediately after abandoning their post for more than a week. Emmanuel Lante has been speaking to JUSAG President Alex Nate on this development.
We have called you here to inform you that the strike is over. I expect to see some smiles in your faces. The strike is over. The reason for being on strike, I think, has been extensively articulated. We have also made it clear that the strike wasn't our first option, and we did not expect it until it became the only alternative, and we resorted to it lawfully. As a result, all stakeholders came on board, and we have, over the days we have been on strike, had consultations and held National Executive Council meetings yesterday, and we have had some consensus with government. We have had a framework within which the implementation process is going to be handled. And so the implementation committee, being the presidential committee, and that of the Judicial Council, will start meeting today on the processes. Such being the case, it is no longer necessary to be on strike. We have therefore called off the strike and asked our members to get back to office, and to also ask members of the public who are earnestly waiting for this to come to an end to come back to the court for the various services they are in need of. We want to thank, in the first place, the Honorable Minister Haruna Idrisu for his industry. It has really been very, very difficult. I think he acknowledged that. But he didn't relent. He didn't give up. He stayed put to the process until midnight yesterday. I think it's fantastic, and we must commend him for that.
You talked about a roadmap. Can you take us through this roadmap and how you intend to implement them?
The roadmap remains an instrument exclusively meant for the committee. I don't have permission to talk about it in the media, I will appeal to you to allow me to treat it as confidential until it becomes an issue for discussion. We have designed a framework for ourselves to work with, and in law, when a committee is starting work on a grievance, you don't need to be on strike, and we have said that we are not lawless. We understand the rules of the game, and once we have gotten here, we need to, do the right thing.
Okay, now, Labour Commission also had issues with your strike. Have you been able to resolve that?
Labour issue problems with our strike. We didn't agree with them, and we did not avert our minds to it at all. So we leave them to their fate as to what they want to do.
Well, away from that now, and students of Abetifi College of Education in the Eastern Region are staging a protest against the principal of the college for refusing to release feeding grants due them. The students also accuse Reverend D.K. Bosnia Jinentwi of financial misappropriation following his inability to release funds for their annual SRC Week celebration. Let's get more now from correspondent Edwin Kofi, who is joining me on phone with those details. So, Kofi, tell us more about this demonstration by these students.
Well, Kwabena, the demonstration started around 7 this morning, and they were in front of the administration block of the school protesting against the school's management, especially the principal of the school, Reverend D.K. Bosnia Jinentwi. And according to them, the issues are two. One, the headmaster or the principal of the school, Reverend Jinentwi, has refused to release feeding grants to the students, even though they claim government information they have is that government has released those funds to be given to them. Secondly, they also talked about the fact that they could not celebrate their SRC week this year because the principal of the school refused to release the funding for the students, even though they paid all that is expected of them. So they are asking the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, that is the appointing body, that appointed the principal of the school, and the Ghana Education Service to look into the claims, by the students. They insist that the principal of the school has wrongly or has taken a bad decision, and that the authorities need to descend on him to ensure that the right thing is done.
Kofi, let me ask, essentially, what do they want done to their principal now?
Well, what they want from the authorities, that is the GES and the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, is to relieve the headmaster of his post. That is what the students are saying.
What has been the response from the principal as far as these allegations and accusations are concerned? Well,
the principal says that he has given them the opportunity to present their parents, to be given the funding. So until their parents come, they're not going to release the money to the students. They suspect that most of them will misappropriate it. That is what they say.
Okay, right. Kofi, many thanks for that update. But maybe just before we go, I just want to find out whether or not these students are still protesting or they've now gone back to their dormitories.
Yes, they couldn't protest the whole day, so they've gone back.
Okay, right. Kofi, many thanks for that update. And that was our East Regional Correspondent Edwin Kofi bringing us updates on that very story. Away from that now, and the owner of a boat that capsized and the operator at that very capsizing happened at YEJI, leading to the deaths of about 15 people, have been arrested in the WOYOME'S region for negligence. 15 people have so far been reported dead after a boat carrying more than 70 people hit a stump and capsized at YEJI. Let's get more now from correspondent Daniel Tichi.
On Saturday's incident that happened on the lake, we are all aware that 16 have been confirmed, found now, and they are all dead. if listeners can remember, there was this press statement, or he spoke to the media and he tells the police if they can arrest him, or he tells the police to arrest him. Yesterday, around 3:30 in the afternoon, he's been arrested by the district police commander in connection with the accident because, according to the police commander, it was out of his negligence because the boat that had accident belongs to him, and the operator on board, according to the passengers who survived the accident, said it was due to their negligence that made them suffer this accident. So, according to the police commander, because of that accident and for the number of people who we claim or who we are feared dead, it's due to that they got to arrest him. He was arrested yesterday, but this morning after I spoke to the commander around 8:30 he said he's been granted bail and he's assisting the police for an investigation. Now, yesterday was exactly 3 days when the incident happened, and according to experts and also what I've also witnessed, the bodies have started going bad. In fact, the last one they brought yesterday, making the normal system, went bad, and in fact, the order coming around is becoming unbearable. Therefore, the MP for the area, Honorable Dr. Kwabena Donko, together with some of the opinion leaders, agreed that at least the police and some of the security agencies who are assisting in the search should allow individuals who find any of the bodies to bury them, but rather they have to communicate to the authorities that they have found this number of people, and for that matter, they wanted to seek permission so that they can bury them wherever they are being found. And that, for that matter, they have to send the number they found at any village at all. So these communities have gone around to the nearby villages who are close to the scene so that they can at least be given the chance to bury, but rather give out the number they have buried so far. But those bodies cannot be brought to the town. They can't bring it to the town because they started going bad. In fact, the order coming out of it and looking at the health implications that it goes with, they have to make sure they allow them bury them, then communicate with the authorities the number they have buried. So we are yet to gather the facts as to how many have been buried so far.
Arrested, in fact, the operator was arrested 2 days today, and the other was also arrested yesterday. Yes, but as now, we have questioned them, and then we are preparing a deputy doctor to send to the YEJI's office for advice. You know, when you're operating this boat, the operator wasn't you have to have a license, but the operator wasn't licensed. Okay? Yes. So that's what I'm saying, that this is a provincial charge anyway. We gave him a provincial charge. That's what I'm saying, that we are preparing the duplicate docket to be sent to the Attorney General's office for advice. We just started, so that's when you'll finish.
Say by close of week?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Is the police looking at arresting any more people?
No. Apart from these 2 people, I don't think you arrest anybody again.
Okay. The recovery efforts, maybe you could give us an update on the official statistics we are getting now. As of yesterday, the information we had was that we had 16 bodies that had been recovered.
No, it's not 16, it's 15 rather, 15. Not
15.
15, yes.
That's the official number?
Yes, 15, that's the official number.
Okay. But there remains a possibility that a lot more bodies may have been recovered between yesterday and now, seeing that...
we have not found anybody again.
So that's it.
Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you, sir. So you're saying there isn't any possibility that...
We have not found anybody again today.
Okay. Right. Anyway.
Apart from the 15, yes.
Okay. DSP Brown Bansa, many thanks for your time here on News Desk. And DSP Brown Bansa is with the YEJI Police. He just gave us an update on the situation there. And that was DSP Ebenezer Bansa, his police commander for Pro District, giving us an update on the situation at YEJI. Now, soon after the June 3 explosion at the Gulf fuel station at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, which resulted in the loss of over 150 lives, the government swore to shut down and demolish all fuel stations which were operating without the requisite licenses or had been sited on waterways. Now, a year down the line, Joy News' Raymond Nakwa has been following up on this pledge and has come through with this report.
Never again shall we sit down and allow the indiscipline of a few to cause the nation such grief and horror. This disaster became the wake-up call. Government had finally gotten the epiphany and resolved that no fuel station sitting on a waterway or operating without a required license will be allowed to stand.
Time has come, for us to remove houses out of waterways, and the public should understand that it is necessary to save everybody else. I mean, this loss of life is catastrophic, almost unprecedented. And so we'll leave the city authorities and the emergency services to continue to do their work. But we must sit and strategize to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
State authorities moved into action immediately and started removing these fuel stations. Several of them were shut down and others reduced to rubble. One of such is the Total station at Malam Junction. Barely a year after it was shut down, the abandoned structure has become a rest stop for motorists and pedestrians. But not all stations which shut down died that way. The Gold station at Mile 7 is one such example. It was pulled down on June 8, 2015 by the Municipal Assembly when it was still under construction. But a year down the line, the station has been reconstructed, much to the chagrin of many residents who could not explain exactly why the station has been rebuilt.
The whole water have to drive down from the Tantra Hill and pass through this gutter or this Mile 7 or St. John's area here. But if you can see this very place, you see the water have to come through to the junction and enter the main gutter there straight. But right now they divert the gutter. The gutter have to drive the water back before it to go to the right side again. If you see the speed that water have to take from the top there and come before it to come back, that is the one who caused this disaster here. This very private house here.
So people live in this house?
People live.
And they are still living here?
Oh, now the very day the thing happened, they called the fire service, then police people, they came here, so we were trying to save their lives, so they are safe.
Oh, okay.
So now they are no more here. They move.
So are there fears that when it starts raining, as it's actually started again, there'll be more trouble here?
Yes, as we see, because this is the beginning. We don't know, because the rain happened, rain that last night, it was almost, let's say, 2 hours or 3 hours. Then we can see this level like this. In fact, if this thing continue, it's going to disturb us. We can't even stay here, and it will spoil more things. This filling station too, as you can hear, or you can see the.
So why was it not removed?
We can't tell. I can't tell.
Okay. Some 50 meters away from the fuel station, 72-year-old Lamy and his wife, who have been living here for more than 3 decades, tells me the situation has not changed in any way since his home was flooded for the first time last year.
Not suffering this way. When they came to build this building, the filling station and the washing station, they raised the washing bay. They raised their buildings. You can see they are all up. They block all the channel of the water, and then the filling station too added to the problem. And they told us that these people were coming to construct the gutter, the big drain. Yes. But they haven't done anything. And then make gutters here for us. They don't do anything. They just came and dumped this sand there. We have been telling them to, if they spread the sand so the water can find its way. So that when the water hits this sand, the water comes into the house.
How much does it cost you to pump water out of your building?
The man is claiming 300 cedis for a day. And we don't know whether I can finish today. So we have to add tomorrow to it. It rains again, then we have to call them back.
The management of the fuel station, which belongs to the wife of the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East, Ahmed Toure, who refused to speak on record, told me they had the approval from the MCE and the Environment Ministry to put up the building again, insisting no proper assessment was done before the structure was demolished previously. It is unclear why the authorities will pull down such a structure only to allow it to be rebuilt. Mr. Lamy and his wife can only pray it does not rain again.
You're watching news today here on your Joy News channel, Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll be back shortly with a lot more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today to some more stories now. And agricultural officers in the Yellow municipality in the Eastern region have confirmed widespread pest invasion on maize farms in the area. On Tuesday, Joy News reported a pest invasion at Okwenya and Somanya in the Eastern region, destroying large acres of maize farms. The Yellow Municipal Agri Director Daniel Odro says there have been some pest invasions in the past, but the current pest attack is a peculiar one, adding that technically nothing can be done for the farmers now.
This one is the peculiar type, kind of moth or caterpillar that we've encountered this time of the season. Normally, we don't normally have this thing, but the damage is so extensive that in some areas, some of the farmers have to cut down their maize. With the setting of the rains, they started planting, and on some of the farms, they are still on it. So we've advised them to report to the office. At the end of the day, we have to go and assess it. If it's the same type of caterpillar that we've reported, then we'll give them the necessary recommendations. We've gone round to most of the farms.
Okay, and what have you found so far?
No, what we found so far is the old one that the farmers have been reporting, because the news came as armyworm, and we need to go around and check if it is really an armyworm. But unfortunately, it wasn't an armyworm. It is the old caterpillar moth that have been on the farm. This damage is not only centered on Yellow area. We've done survey and it's through the water region, the part of Eastern, Greater Accra. So it's now becoming a national distance. So we are now handling it. We wanted to see if we can handle it as a national distance. So we reported it to the DPRC, that is Plant Protection Regulatory Department of the Ministry. They were there. They took sample of the caterpillar, and we are in a way trying to find way get them a chemical that can control it. But fortunately too for us, we were able to get a chemical that they can use, and it was very effective. Very effective. That is the EcoPair. It's a bio insecticide. But to the surprise of most of our listeners, the farmers are saying it's expensive. Expensive. So we are now trying to see if we can get support from the assembly to see if they can help the farmers to purchase the chemical and supply it to the farmers. Technically, nothing can be done because pests affect different stages of the maize crop. Even a week after germinating, you see the pest on it. And it will stay on it until it's tassel. And if you are not able to control it, it will destroy it before it's even tassel and defoliate almost all the leaves. You see patches of destruction on the leaves. And eventually it affects photosynthesis, and the yield will also to decrease.
I see. So now farmers in this area can only hope and pray that something miraculously happens and their crops are saved.
Fortunately, we have chemicals. So when they come to the office or when we visit them, we recommend that they should go in for the chemical spray.
And they need to pay for these chemicals you speak of?
That's where we can. Our end. It's nothing that you cannot buy the chemical for the farmer. First, in some cases, the destruction is priced up. If he can't, then he has to leave the thing to.
Government needs to find other ways of raising money other than continuously tasking the ordinary Ghanaian worker. That's the word from a financial analyst and a lecturer at GIMPA, Godfred Ameu, on the finance minister's justification on the need for government to tax allowances and pensions. According to Mr. Tekpe, allowances and incomes form part of what is generally considered income, hence government's decision to tax them. But Godfred Ameu believes the approach by governments is not the best way to go. He argues that the emphasis should be on the widening of the tax net and not the continuous taxation of those already contributing their quota to development.
Tax and paying tax has always been a problem to the citizenry all over the world. And Ghana, as a nation, our tax system is the tax rate is relatively lower compared to some other countries too. And it's very true, yes, we're paying a whole lot of tax. But the fact still remains that whatever you earn as an income, you need to pay tax on it. So, as the minister rightly said, there are some people that are taking huge allowances, that they are not paying tax on, and you compare what it takes as the allowance to their salary, it's possibly even twice their salary. So why do you just have to concentrate taxing only the salary and leaving the income?
Some have suggested that there's a very lazy approach taken by the government to raise funds. Do you agree with that?
Well, to some extent, but I absolutely do not think that is fair, because, well, government can do well, better than what it's doing now by extending the tax bracket and capturing everybody into this whole tax system. My problem with this whole tax introduction is the amount that is being slapped on this kind of tax. Getting everybody to pay tax, especially on your allowances and everything, to me personally, is fine. But my problem has to do with whether 20% of tax on your allowances is fair and also the right. It might not be possibly the best, but it's one of the ways to get people. But the first thing is that once you get a lot of people to pay tax, others, investors will always want to look for other opportunities to avoid paying tax, you know. So you bring in this, they find another way of doing it the other way around. Yes, government can do better by looking at other options. Just concentrating on income and other benefits or capital gains on your investment might not be enough. And I think that is why people are thinking that it's quite a lazy way that the government wants to use to raise funds. But you compare what is done on other international platforms, it's not too different too. But the problem has to do with the magnitude of the tax that we are starting with. I'm personally of the view that, yes, we need to get a lot of people to pay tax who are taking huge allowances must pay tax on those accounts. But certainly starting with a 20% tax on allowances, to me, I think is at the high side. At the end of the day, people might not really understand what all this is about. And once you try introducing this tax, they find another way to avoid paying the tax.
Well, there's more analysis on this directive by government on the marketplace, which airs later today at 1 p.m. with John Kojo Amwako. On that note, I need to invite John Kojo Amwako to bring us the very latest in the world of business. Stay on.
Now, time for some business here. And persons who generate revenues from corrupt activities will soon be compelled to pay taxes on such funds. This forms part of amendment to the new tax law which government is implementing. Speaking with Joy Business, tax consultant Ali Nachia hailed the move as timely since such funds were illegally acquired. He spoke to Joy Business.
Rightfully, yes. If it is not allowed, it will remain in your income to be taxed. My question was, how could you say that income pay bribes, corrupt activities are not expenditure that will be allowed? It means you can identify them. If you can't, they are offenders, because the giver of the bribe and the taker are all guilty. So if it's in the tax law that bribes and money spent in corrupt activities are not allowable deduction, it means on an audit you saw them. Who are they? Give us their names and addresses. Let's go after them. As for the tax, yes, they will pay, but then they have to answer to the law enforcement agencies, because taxation doesn't dwell on morality. Illegal gains are taxable. Otherwise, you are saying that the just person should pay tax, the unjust man should not pay tax. That would be unfair. But in law, that once there is a gain, the revenue man is after gains and profits to tax. As to how you made the gains or profits, is the security man to determine the illegality. For example, if you are operating a shop and nobody knows that you are dealing in drugs, maybe you carry drugs out there, make the money, use it to import goods and come and put in your shop. If I come as a taxman, I've seen your shop, you've made gains, I'm taxing you. Until the law enforcement knock up and the rest bust you at the airport, I wouldn't know that is how you are financing your business. Where have I encouraged your drug trade? Nowhere.
But you benefited from drug money.
Where is the benefit? I have seen a gain, and I'm saying I've been asked to tax gains, and I'm taxing you. I'll give you an example. An armed robber is robbing, and out of the robbery, he has set up a restaurant, a washing bay, has taxis, and he's paying tax. Did you know it was financed by robbery until the police busted him? You wouldn't know. And how can you say you were encouraging the robbery? Of course, criminal activities and process of crime are not taxable. crime is an offense and has to be dealt with. But we are talking about process of an illegality. For example, there is curfew. Don't sell after 6. Then you have a way of getting your customers to come in all the way till 10, because somebody is watching and can whistle if the police is coming. You mean the gains made from 6 to 10, we shouldn't tax you? Because you were perpetrating an illegal, you were breaching the law, but you made a gain.
Ali Nachia there, and the General Secretary of the Ghana Agricultural Workers Union, who is also an economist, Edward Karewe, says sustainability of the revamped Commander Sugar Factory is assured as reliable, abundant raw material base exists to support operations. He was reacting to some criticism that the country may not be able to supply enough sugar cane to feed the factory for sugar production. But Mr. Karewe says outgrower farming within the locality of the factory will facilitate constant supply of sugar cane. President Mahama on Monday commissioned the sugar factory at Commander in the central region. He said local production of sugar will help cut down the import bill significantly.
Assessing the ecological terrain and then the land space of where the factory is situated, central region to western region, I would say that there's the capacity to have enough raw materials to feed the factory. Now, when you talk about enough sugar cane, it could not have been there when there is no need for it. Everybody produces where there is need. Where there is no need, you don't produce. Now that there's a need for sugar cane, where there's market for the sugar cane, then certainly the sugar cane production will increase. I am also aware, as all of us have been told, that they are implementing the outgrower system. And the outgrower system is a system that guarantees the farmer ready market, also supports the farmer to produce, and then even support the farmer to distribute, convey the raw materials from the source. Certainly, I think there's off-takers of the products. One, in terms of the supply of the raw materials, the factory is there to take it. And then what I would also like government to do is to look at the import policy, which brings in sugar, so that it does not collapse the available market for which the factory has been set up.
So that will be it for business. For more business stories, you can join me at 1:30 on the marketplace. And today we are looking at the new tax law and the implications. What does it make for you, the businessman, as against the government actually saying this is what they need to actually do? We'll also be looking at the implications or the possible increment in petroleum prices. All these and more on the marketplace between 1 and 1:30. My name is John Kojo Amwako. Coming up next is your sport. Please stay.
Good afternoon, my name is Baba Tanda. Let's get talking on sports right here, right now. And pressure is mounting heavily on the National Division 1 League Board and the country's biggest football stakeholders, that's the GFA, to take stringent measures in curbing or eradicating fund violence at various match centers across Ghana. Now, the sports fraternity woke up to news this morning that the Referees Association of Ghana, RAG, has in an official statement declared their intentions not to officiate in matches at some 4 venues. Now, according to the statement signed by General Secretary of RAG, Joseph Aita Mensah, it says, and I quote, RAG has learnt with dismay the brutal assault of referees and assistant referees at some league centers, especially Division 1 of late. The association has waited patiently for some time now with the view that the situation will be brought under control. However, it seems it's getting worse every passing week. As much as the RAG is willing to cooperate with the GFA to have a successful league season, it has become clear that we are doing that at the expense of the lives of our referees. The National Executive of RAG, therefore, at an emergency meeting held on Saturday, May 28, 2016 at the Accra Sports Stadium, resolved as follows: that with immediate effect, no referee shall officiate in any football match at the underlisted league centers, which we have identified as unsafe for match officials due to frequent attacks until further notice. Now, the first venue is the Nkoko Park, that's the home ground for Okowu United FC. The second venue is Kwewu Praso Park, home ground for King Solomon FC. Bibiani Town Park is a third venue and is home ground to Gold Stars and Gold Stars FC. Now, the fourth venue is at Techiman Park, home ground for Istanbul FC. Now, the statement continues by saying, we are also sounding a word of caution to Obuswa Dwarfs to be of good behavior and change their hostile attitude towards match officials at the Cape Coast Stadium, which has become rampant of late. End of quote. Now, still on the referees issue, Enjoy Sports Benedict Owusu has been speaking to Referees Association of Ghana Chairman Joe Debra.
Well, the rationale behind it is very simple. All those who have been monitoring the activities of Division 1 League will realize that of late there has been assault on referees here and there. We're all along, we have realized the FA is doing nothing about it. And we have only one life. And human spare parts cannot be bought at any hospital or drugstore. For that matter, we think it will be more expedient not to go to the hostile centers so that things will be put right before we go there. Because we don't feel the place is secure or safe for our people to go there to officiate.
But recently, when this issue came up, we also read in the dailies that you were hoping to engage the Football Association on how best we were going to solve this issue. I mean, were you able to get this to their attention before taking this decision?
All along, you see, we are in a global village, and there is an account adage that if you want to speak to God, you speak through the air, and God will hear it. Your medium and that of the other stations has been the platform that we have used. And we have made several warnings that if care is not taken, we will decide on the issue because the assault is becoming too rampant and no action is being taken. And when it happens, nobody should blame the referees because we have had enough of it, but we are not seeing any progress. So that has necessitated this action that we have taken.
So what will make you rescind this decision?
Oh, there are so many ways to kill a cat, for that matter. There are so many ways. Per our letter, if you have had a copy, we have stated that much as we want to support the FA to have the season run successfully, we will still not expose our people to harm, all because we want the FA to have a smooth league. Whilst
all right, so we're making attempts to get to the managers of Ghana Football, that's the GFA, on their take of this issue, but we have not been able to reach them. So in our subsequent sports bulletins, we are going to find out what the GFA is making of this particular issue and if indeed the communication has officially reached their desks. But for now, that would be it for sports. You can check us out on Twitter. We are there at Joy Sports GH. You can also find us on Facebook at Joy Sports. I'm also on Twitter at Baba Tando. That'll be it. My name is Baba Tando. Good afternoon.
And on the international front, signals likely to have come from the black boxes of the Egypt airplane that crashed last month have been detected. The statement said they were picked up by a French vessel searching the Mediterranean Sea. There were 66 people on board when the Airbus A320 crashed on May 19 while flying from Paris to Cairo. It vanished from Greek and Egyptian radar screens, apparently without having sent a distress call. There's no word yet from the French authorities about the finding. Egyptian officials said last week signals from the plane's emergency beacon had been detected, but later said they were received on the day of the crash and were not new. Now, an open-ended rail strike is underway in France just 9 days before the country hosts the Euro 2016 football tournament. Only 60% of high-speed trains and between a third and a half of other services are expected to run. Trade unions are protesting against work time changes, but the strike comes amid general labor unrest. The wider protests are over a bill to shake up the labor market. The bill comes before the Senate this month, having passed through the lower house without a vote. France's Socialist President François Hollande insists it will not be withdrawn despite months of unrest which erupted into street clashes between protesters and police at marches last Thursday. Leading conservative opposition politician Nicolas Sarkozy has accused him of getting everything wrong from the start in his handling of the crisis. And that's it for international updates. Time now for some entertainment with Becky.
Let's talk some entertainment now. You all recall Nigerian musician Davido versus his baby mama drama that occurred earlier this year, where Chief Dele Momodu had to be dragged into the issue because he happens to be the uncle of Davido's baby mama. Well, what actually happened? Well, we caught up with Chief Dele Momodu this morning, and he tells us exclusively his side of the story.
Yes, Davido has a baby, very beautiful girl, Midday, with my cousin, Sophia. And of course, there was a riot between the two of them. You know, they are young people. And unfortunately, I was brought into their fray. But I'm happy that the family intervened positively. And today things are much smoother between both families.
But the latest development we've seen is a fan posting on Twitter that, and I can remember very well, I'm not sure I can quote verbatim, but he says, Uncle Dele, I know say you still won't go Dubai, but just apologize to Davido, and Davido comes to retweet and say, Dele Namabo. How did that come to you?
I've never responded to it. This is the first time. Even the first video he released, Osinachi, when he released Osinachi, I didn't know the way. I don't speak Igbo, so but I thought it was negative. So I called his father. His father has been my friend and big brother of so many years. So it's just unfortunate what happened. His late mom was very close to me. I used to call her my sister, and you know, and then we visited, you know, their home when he was a little boy. But you know, success is always a very tough thing to manage. And your fans can mislead you sometimes. So I know that what he's doing is what most artists do all over the world, which is to sell his album. You want to sell your record. You want to sell, you know, so you have to create controversy.
Now, is it true that you were the one who first brought him to Ghana?
Who? No, but on one occasion he had problems with Charterhouse. He had collected money and he was supposed to perform, and then last minute he said he wasn't coming. And so when I was contacted by Charterhouse, I intervened. I called his dad that, look, this man should not disappoint Ghanaians because Ghanaians love him a lot. And his father did well that night.
That's it for entertainment on Joy News today. My name is Becky. Have a good afternoon.
And that's how I wrap up on news today this afternoon on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. My name is Kwabena Chenche Heneboati. Remember, there's a lot more news when you visit www.myjoyonline.com. The marketplace comes up next with John Kujoma. Many thanks for your company.